Now for our moose hunt this year, we decided to hunt the last 10 days of September in a bow-only area, which is generally right in the prime of the rut, and the bulls are just crazy and very responsive to calling. Now the area we hunted is only accessible by boat, and mostly only airboats go up there. The river gets so narrow and shallow that it can be kind of dangerous, but we did some scouting in the summer, and we figured we'd be able to take our jet boat up there. So that's what we did, and there was some pretty scary spots to go through, big log jams, and just a real shallow river in spots. But we made it up there, and the farthest spot we could get up was a confluence of two oversized creeks, basically. And we just made our camp right on a gravel bar there, and there was moose sign everywhere, where you could see where they'd been feeding and bedding down. And it just looked like a real moosey area, so we figured it'd be as good a spot as any to stop and call. And we spent a couple days calling, for several hours in the morning and evening. It can a lot of times take hours or days for a bull to come in, if they're a long ways away, but they will come. So we just stayed persistent at it. Now, a couple days in there, we were walking upstream to do some calling, and just the odor of this rotten meat hit us hard, and looked over, and about 15 yards upwind was a spot. There was a moose kill that a grizzly bear had buried and just completely tore up about a 15-yard radius. Everything in there he just tore up. And it was a little spooky because we just had our bows at the time, and it's not too uncommon for those bears to hang real close to these kill sites. So we kind of gathered ourselves, went back to camp, and that evening we walked upstream and sat down with a rifle across the river in hopes that grizzly bear would come back. Well, didn't end up happening, so we called it for that night and went back to camp. And that night was really cold. It got down to about 10 or 15 degrees. There's frost on everything before we even went to bed. And we ended up getting up kind of late. And, so we were taking it easy. And I got up and spent about 20 minutes building a fire and chopping firewood. And then we ate breakfast and we're getting warmed up with our bows. And I came to full draw, and my dad said, don't shoot, don't shoot. And I look, and there's this little bull walking towards our camp across the river, just like he was on a string coming right to the camp. And so when he got behind some trees, we snuck up right next to our bow target, and he came out and came down into the river, and we thought he was going to walk right up to us. He was hanging up at about 35 yards and just wasn't given a good shot. And he must have caught wind of our camp, and our tent was right behind us, so he kind of spooked and went back in the woods. And then he came out and stopped in this clearing, and my dad was sort of, range him. And so I clicked the rangefinder on him, 63 yards, and he drew back and loosed an arrow at him, hit him right in the heart, just a perfect shot. And he went about 35 yards and tipped over, and it was kind of funny because we'd spent all this time calling, and that might have drawn him into the area, but chopping wood is what ended up calling him into camp. They think that's another bull raking his antlers on the trees. It can be really exciting on this type of hunting, and calling moose is so fun, and you never really know when to expect them to come in. Well, it's Tyler with Live Hunt, my dad Britt here. September 29th, the last day of this bow-only moose season up here is tomorrow. And yeah, like I said, we just kind of got a late start in camp this morning, and was chopping firewood earlier and ended up calling in this guy. We were practicing shooting our bows, getting warmed up, and he come walking along the riverbank, so we come over, and he almost came to our camp, but
yeah, we thought you almost got away.
he started to spook a little bit and decided he's turned walk the other way, but Dad's been practicing at exactly 63 yards out in our yard, and a lot with his Recurve, which is a long shot, but boy, he made a perfect shot on him right in the heart. And this guy only went about 40 yards.
Yeah, if that.
And
tipped over.
But yeah, not a big Yukon moose, but
Yeah, this is a this is an eating moose here. Good one too. This
Yep.
is just right for the freezer.
yeah, kind of a little by Alaska standards, but he's about twice as big as a big bull elk. But
Now we
anyway,
got some work to do.
Yep, now the real work begins, as I always say. Now to give you an idea how big a target these moose vitals are, that's the heart right there, and that's his hole right in the top of the heart.
Broadhead.
Broadhead, old Zwicky Eskimo, sharpened just like I showed you in the video earlier. 63 yards is kind of a ridiculously long shot, but you know, when you've been practicing and getting consistent at it, you know, it's really not a low percentage shot, especially on these moose. They're so big.
Sure, it looks like it might have come out right, a little. The tip of it might have come out right there. See?
Yep.
Yeah.
He sure didn't last long.
It went down.